See, now I remember back in the day of pay-per-view, when before pay-per-view even, and the big fights that were going on in America. I remember when Frank Bruno first fought Mike Tyson for the World Heavyweight Championship, and couldn't watch it on television because at that time it wasn't being shown live on TV. You had to listen to it on the radio. And if you're a boxing fan back then, you just wanted to know the result of the fight. You would listen to it on radio to hear what was going on. Times have changed, and since we've got fights being televised first on Sky, and then before even Sky came in, we had the delayed fight. So what would happen is a fight would happen, you'd listen to it on the radio, and then you wanted pictures, so you'd see it the next day. First you'd either see it on the radio, or you see it on the TV in a news clip, and you see little clips of and pictures of how the fight went on. And then BBC, bless their soul, would show boxing, but fights that were shown, recorded, so it was delayed showing. But even then, you still tuned in. Now, I'm sure the figures were pretty good for that. But in today's world, we don't need any of that. We've got Sky Sports, and we've got Box Nation, and whatever else you can get on the internet. So there's Channel 5, of course, as well. Let's not forget them. They're doing their part for boxing as well. And of course, there's the Olympic boxing and the World Championship boxing and the European boxing. Whenever there's any amateur boxing on, BBC are the ones that cover it, which again is fantastic. Pay-per-view, people do argue and say, why should we be paying to watch something on television? But a big event, pay-per-view, Mike Tyson fighting Evander Holyfield, or Mike Tyson versus when Bruno was trying to win the world title back, or, involving a world title fight, a super fight, a world title fight, something of real nature, something that the world are talking about and you want to be there, you can't be there, and you're paying to view it. Great. I understand the concept. I understand it, making money to pay the fighters and all the rest of it. The promoter needs to make their cut. All the rest of it. Sure, I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not a promoter. But, hey, it puts bums in seats. Groves versus Froch. Okay, you can understand that. Big grudge match. You can understand those things. Fine. World title on the line again. This recent pay-per-view event, Bellew versus Cleverly 2, is a pay-per-view event that fans have to fork out to pay to watch. Okay, it's going to be cheaper than going to watch the fight live. But we already know what the first result was. Cleverly won the fight, outpointing Bellew. Now, since both guys have gone on and fought for a world title, and both guys have lost at world title level. In fact, both guys got knocked out at world title level. But that was at light heavyweight. Now we're at the cruiserweight division. Nathan Cleverly has come back after getting a fearful beating by the hands of Sergey Kovalev. At one point, the referee having to help him back to the corner. I don't know of any fight that I've known in history where the referees help the fighter back to the corner that when he's been that badly hurt, especially the world champion. And then you had Tony Bellew in the other side of the world, the Atlantic, trying to beat Stevenson, and coming a cropper to Stevenson, just basically being a rangefinder for 4.5 rounds, and then in the 5th round being nailed with that left hand, and Bellew having no reply to it. Given Bellew is a light heavyweight that is drained and moving up to cruiserweight, that can be some excuse, but I don't think even a cruiserweight version of Bellew would have beaten Stevenson on that night. So both guys have failed at world title level. So it's been sold as the rematch. Yes, they've got a grudge match, and yes, they don't like one another. But is it worth pay-per-view? Really? Is it really worth pay-per-view? So you're paying to watch two guys who failed at world level fight one another for no world title. And the catch point is, why does anyone want to pay for that? That's the question. But of course, people will pay for it. And regardless of what I say, the pay-per-view event will go ahead. I can tell you now, I won't be paying that amount of money for that fight anyway. But don't get me wrong, I like Tony Bellew. I think he's a character for boxing, and boxing needs characters. Without characters, the sport will get boring very quickly. And yeah, so it's going to be a good fight for sure, I'm sure. But I don't know how you could sell it as a pay-per-view fight. In fact, that's an insult to previous big pay-per-view fights. When you pay money to watch the big fights and over the Atlantic in Madison Square Garden or Thomas and Mack Center or even the Barclays Center, wherever it is, a big super fight, and then you say Cleverly and Bellew, it's an insult to those pay-per-view events. So that's not good, I don't think. I don't know how that attracts new customers to boxing. On the flip side, there's Box Nation, who are offering, I think it's £12 a month. You're getting to see fights that you would never see, and Sky were not interested in showing, I don't think. And you're getting an array of fights, the best of what Britain's got to offer, and the best of what Europe's got to offer, and the best of what the world's got to offer for £12 a month. Now, I'm not no salesperson. I'm not being paid by Box Nation to say this. But frankly, if you're a boxing fan and it's a boxing channel, damn, they're not charging pay-per-view for an event. I mean, if it's the plan for Cleverly and Bellew to be a pay-per-view event, why not add Amir Khan versus Kell Brook on that same bill? You could have done that. You could have delayed Cleverly versus Bellew, and then justify the pay-per-view event having Brook and Khan as the main event. Do that. No, don't do that. You decide to do a pay-per-view event with Bellew and Cleverly. And if Bellew were to knock Cleverly out in a couple of rounds, 3-4 rounds, what would it prove? What would it prove? I mean, seriously, do you think that, would you put any of those guys in with Michael Huck? Really? Okay, but those are my thoughts on the whole pay-per-view thing. Pay-per-view, yes, it's necessary in this day and age, but when is a pay-per-view event really valued as a pay-per-view event? That's the question, and that's the question I'm throwing out to the fans. When do you think it's right to pay for a pay-per-view event? I'm not talking about those who, I'm not paying for a pay-per-view event because I'm going to watch it through some stream. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you guys that genuinely will pay for an event and don't even know how to stream. Okay? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. This will be interesting. I'm out.